Hi, I'm Katie Farmand with Edible Orlando Magazine. You can find us online at edibleorlando.com and on Facebook and Instagram at Edible Orlando. Together with our partner in wellness, AdventHealth, we are here at the Center for Health and Wellbeing in the Nutrition Theater for our third installment of Healthy Helpings. The Center for Health and Wellbeing is a partnership between AdventHealth and the Winter Park Health Foundation, whose mission is to integrate the concepts of wholeness, fitness, and medicine and provide health programming and education and more to the communities of Winter Park, Maitland, and Eatonville. So today I'm here with Chef Collette Haw from Nourish Kitchen and Coffee Bar right here at the Center for Health and Wellbeing. And she is joined by AdventHealth gastroenterologist Dr. Nicole Gomez, who will be talking about keeping our digestion healthy and making a beautiful recipe that we can enjoy. I'm excited to hear all about this healthy, beautiful dish that you guys are going to make. And I'm just right next door, but we thought with no masks, it would be kind of a safer for me to be over here. So I'll just be watching and listening, asking questions here and there. But from now on, you guys take it away.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Katie. We are super excited to be here today with you, and I'm extremely excited to have Dr. Gomez here. We talked about this wonderful recipe we have today, and Dr. Gomez was so nice to lend me a whole list of ingredients we could work with that helps aid in digestion, are healthy for digestion. And so the dish that we're going to do today is a roasted sweet potato and golden sauerkraut bowl. And we'll kind of dive into that as we get into this recipe. So first things are first, some of the ingredients you're going to need for this recipe, you should have those, but we're gonna go over it. We're gonna do sweet potatoes, sauerkraut, fresh turmeric, some pecans, Brussels sprouts, avocado oil, and the avocado oil is going to be used for the roasting of the potatoes. And then we're going to do a delicious lemon tahini dressing and a little bit of avocado mash. So we can go ahead and get started. I'm going to cut up some sweet potatoes here to get roasting. And I actually scrub these really, really well. We're going to leave the skin on of these sweet potatoes. And yeah, I'll start cutting up. If you have any delicious advice about some sweet potatoes.
Yes. So sweet potatoes are an excellent source of fiber. As compared to the other type of potatoes, it has less amount of sugar, even though they are sweeter. They have more fiber, so they won't spike your sugar level so quickly. So it's excellent in patients with fatty liver disease, obese patients that they are looking for losing weight. Aside of that, you have vitamin A, vitamin K, vitamin C, which are excellent antioxidants. And actually, this recipe is amazing because you have a lot of fiber.
Yeah.
And fiber is the king in our GR world because fiber doesn't get digested. It's a part of the plants that you eat them in the veggie, in the fruit, in the grains, and it passes all the way to your colon without being digested. And then it's utilized by the bacteria in our colon. And the bacteria, which is also called the microbiome, they make so many functions for us, including your gut and also even your brain.
That's
you produce
awesome.
happy hormones in your gut because of this bacteria. So this is an excellent choice that everyone should be eating.
Awesome.
A lot of fiber.
I love some sweet potatoes, and I always wondered that too. So I much rather prefer a sweet potato over a regular potato, and I always wondered how if it was truly healthier just because of the sweetness in the potato.
Yeah. So one important point also is how you cook the potatoes.
Oh, yes.
Because if you boil them, actually the sugar level is lower.
Really?
When you put it in the oven, it might be a little higher, but they are still lower in sugar as compared to other potatoes. So
okay.
It's great.
That's interesting. And I also, for this recipe, I kept the skins on only because I learned that, and maybe you can, if you know anything about it, I'm sure you do, is I heard a lot of the antioxidants are actually in the skin and right under the skin. So I always try to, when I'm cooking the sweet potatoes, I like to scrub them really well. And I tend to use the organic ones, so I know that, it'll be better to, eat the skin. But yeah,
The skin is great for fiber.
Okay.
Some vegetables also, the skin is good. For instance, the tomatoes have phytonutrients in the skin that are good against prostate cancer, for instance. So the skin is
Perfect.
great. You're right.
Awesome. That is awesome. Okay, so what I did is I diced them and I put just a little bit of avocado oil on it, not much, and a little bit of Himalayan pink salt and just a skosh of cracked pepper, just to give them a little seasoning. And I'm going to put them on one side of my baking dish. And while I do that, I'm going to take the same bowl because we don't want to dirty a ton of dishes. And I'm going to cut some Brussels sprouts in half, and I'm going to do the same thing, and we're going to roast those. And while we roast those, we'll move on to the sauerkraut. But I chose the sweet potatoes and the Brussels sprouts because they were on your list, but also because they're great fall-like ingredients. And so what is the good, healthy part about the Brussels sprouts?
The Brussels sprouts is part of a group of vegetables that they call it Brassica family or cruciferous veggies. The other part of this group is the broccoli, the cauliflower, the bok choy. And aside of having a lot of fiber, as we mentioned with the sweet potatoes, they have sulforaphane, which is a potent antioxidant and even anti-cancer.
Really?
So they are great. And there is a fun fact about the Brussels.
Yeah.
I mean, all of the Brussels in general, you can actually grow it at home.
Oh, yeah.
You can sprout it at home. You buy a mason jar with a lid full of holes, and then you can buy the seeds online, and you will have the sprouts in a few days. You can put it in your smoothie, in your salads. You can freeze it for months.
Really? That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I love Brussels sprouts. Everybody, I feel like, you know, when you're a kid and you're like, ooh, Brussels sprouts. But they are so good. They're just like a little baby cabbage
I love
almost.
Brussels sprouts.
And especially roasted, they're so good.
One point that now I remember with Brussels is that in the restaurant you have to be careful because sometimes they put a lot of honey and a lot of other sugar. So it's good to keep an eye on how they prepare the Brussels.
Oh, I know. A lot of restaurants will have, you know, with the bacon and the honey and all that stuff. So maybe making it at home is a little more cost effective and a little bit more healthy. But like I was telling you earlier, I'm doing the same thing. So just a little bit of avocado oil on there, a little bit of the pink Himalayan salt, and a little bit of black pepper. Now, I chose the avocado oil for the roasting just because it can withstand a higher, cooking point than, let's say, like olive oil.
Yes.
So that is pretty much the most amount of work this whole dish is going to take. So once you get these veggies, we're going to roast them at 425 for about 20 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on this top oven. But because of the magic of TV, I have some done down here. So, and this is actually off, so
nice.
It's not hot. Woo. And the good thing about this dish is you can make this and serve the sweet potatoes and the Brussels hot, or you could do it cold. So whichever way you prefer. So now that those are out, let's move on to our sauerkraut, which is my favorite part about this whole dish because I am a sauerkraut lover. And I have these two sauerkrauts here. The actual recipe calls out golden sauerkraut. So what we're going to do is just start out with regular sauerkraut, and we're going to take fresh turmeric, a little nubbin of turmeric, and we're going to grate it right into here and let it kind of marinate, and it becomes this beautiful golden color. Now, tell us about the deliciousness of these.
So that's one of the superstars of this recipe.
Yeah.
Sauerkraut is a fermented food, as many of you might know. There are other groups of fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, miso, which is made of fermented soy. But these foods have probiotics. They are actually natural probiotics. So that will make your gut to produce healthy bacteria that will create a healthy environment that plays not directly between them, but also with the cells in your colon. It forms a nice barrier against infections, increase your immune system, make things going smoothly very easily. So if you don't want to take pills like probiotics, you should eat fermented foods as a source of probiotics.
Awesome. Yeah, I love sauerkraut. I have a European, like Austrian background, so I always ate sauerkraut growing up, and I was probably considered one of those weird kids because I loved, like, sometimes in my school lunches, my mom would have like sauerkraut omelet, but I mean, it's delicious.
I learned it actually from my husband, the
Really?
sauerkraut. He loves sauerkraut.
Yes.
But I never, it's pretty recent that I know about it.
Oh, yeah.
But when you read about the properties, it's amazing.
Oh yeah, and I know that there's a couple different types of sauerkraut that there's a sauerkraut that you can buy at the grocery store that's in a can, and that's probably not the kind of sauerkraut you want to get. I always get a sauerkraut that is in the refrigerated section because that's when all they have those delicious, because sometimes like the canning process, they high temperatures and all the probiotics might, not stay with it. So this is just a lacto fermented sauerkraut that I got in the refrigerated section of the grocery store. You can be very brave and try to make sauerkraut yourself at home. It's a very fun process. But for these purposes, this sauerkraut is delicious. And then the turmeric.
Oh, yes. So the beautiful turmeric, I love the root. It's very cute. It's like
it was so little.
Yes. It's so tiny, but it's like a ginger. So this is a very old root, actually, that it was originated in Asia. It grows in humid environments.
Okay.
And it has the active components, which is curcumin. The curcumin have potent anti-inflammatory properties. So we always recommend it in patients with ulcerative colitis, which they have a lot of inflammation, patients with irritable bowel syndrome.
Okay.
And even in patients with rheumatoid arthritis, it helps with their pains because it's great anti-inflammatory. It also has some antibacterial properties and anti-cancer, so it's great.
Yeah, so you should be putting turmeric in everything.
Yes, and it's not that spicy.
Yeah, no, it's actually it's really good. It's almost like earthy a little bit, and this recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of fresh turmeric. If you don't have fresh turmeric, you can use the dried turmeric, but I would definitely do half that, so half a teaspoon of dried turmeric versus the 1 tablespoon of fresh, because the dry is going to be a lot more more concentrated. So that was super easy to make.
And also, the good thing, you put some pepper there too, because they interact. The pepper helps the turmeric getting absorbed better in your body.
Yeah, so I put the pepper on the sweet potatoes, but since we're going to eat them all in the same bowl, that's a good thing that you brought up, because I forgot about that, about how the pepper kind of interacts with the turmeric. Delicious.
I love it when things taste good together, but they also work magic together. Chef, do you have any tips on finding fresh turmeric? Because it's not something that you see in an everyday grocery store.
Yeah, so I also suggest, while we're doing this whole ingredients, I suggest taking a trip to your local farmer's market. A lot of these ingredients are coming into season, so you're gonna see a lot of these local farmers that have these delicious ingredients at your farmer's market. And the one really good thing about buying local and seasonal is that when you're getting these Brussels sprouts that are grown locally, or you're getting this turmeric that's grown locally. I know here in Florida, we have a lot of local farmers that grow turmeric. And the most important thing about buying local is that you're getting veggies that have more nutrient dense than a vegetable at the grocery store, because at the vegetable at the grocery store, it could be sitting on the shelf for who knows how long, and every day the nutrients of that particular produce just wane. Whereas if you're getting something that was harvested in your local area, just a day before you get it and you prepare it, it's going to have a lot more nutrients in it. So I definitely suggest hitting up your local farmers market and see what kind of local farmers you have going on there.
We love to support local at Edible Orlando. So that was exactly the answer I was hoping you would get.
Yeah, it is also too, it's good for your health. Not only are you supporting your community, but I feel like it's better for your health as well, because of the fact that there's way more nutrients in these vegetables and fruits that you can get at a local farmer's market, for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point, because the quality of the soil, local farmers, they don't put so many,
bad stuff in the soil. And a lot of it, a lot of our local farmers here grow nice and organic practices. And so we got a great farmer's market here in this area. So that brings us to our next thing, which is our lemon tahini vinaigrette. And I love a nice easy vinaigrette, and you know, buying vinaigrettes at the store, they're usually like loaded with all kinds of oils or sugars and I always try to stress to people how easy it is to make a simple vinaigrette at home. So we're gonna actually start with 1/4 cup of tahini, which is like a sesame paste. So it's just ground sesames. And I feel, was sesames on your list, or did I just?
Sesame is great.
Okay.
But it was not in my list, but
Okay.
you're a very smart chef. So
I was
That's
wondering if,
Yes.
I couldn't remember if that was on the list, but I
This
love a
is-
good tahini.
actually, sesame seeds are superfood. They have so many vitamins. They have omega-3, which is also anti-inflammatory. So patients with inflammatory bowel diseases like Crohn's or colitis, they are great for that. So anything with seeds, aside of the fiber, also will have omega-3. And then a way that you can also tahini, you can use it for the hummus.
Yes.
It's a great snack.
Yes.
Sometimes I eat the snack, the hummus with the baby carrots or cucumbers, and when you're hungry, that's easy.
I know, it's so easy to make hummus too. So the chickpeas and garlic and tahini, and you're like good to go. All right, so I have the 1/4 cup of the tahini in here, and I'm gonna zest 1 lemon. Right on into here, and I'm using the zest because it'll add a lot of flavor to this dish. And one thing that, you know, I always get doing these like cooking classes is a lot of people think that eating healthy is boring or not flavorful, but you just add stuff like fresh, like lemon zest, a lot of lemon juice, you add some fresh herbs, stuff like that, really packs a punch with the flavor. So healthy eating does not have to be boring, that's for sure, or it does not have to be bland.
And we can start early. I mean, we should start young. When we're young, we should start eating healthy.
Yeah.
Because we have to think of our bodies as a car. So the fuel that you give to the car is like the food we give to our bodies. If you give the wrong fuel, it's not going to perform well. But if you give good fuel, it will perform well and will last longer. And that is a choice. We have a choice, and it's under our hands. We have control of it. So that's the beauty of making the right decisions when we eat.
For sure. And just how simple this is. So I just microplaned. So this piece of equipment is called a microplane, and I love it. I use it all the time. I highly suggest having this in your kitchen. So I used it on the turmeric. Now I'm using it on the lemon, and I'm going to squeeze about 2 lemons right on into here. It's about 3 tablespoons you want of lemon juice. That bright acidity with that tahini is going to be absolutely delicious. And then after I squeeze these in here, I'm going to add a tablespoon of just water, because we're trying to really cut down on the amount of oil we need in a vinaigrette, because we don't really need a ton of oil. We can make it fine just with a lot less.
What ratio do you like with oil and?
So I was taught in culinary school 4-to-1 ratio, 4 parts oil to 1 part vinegar, but I don't like that. It's too oily. So I always do a 3 part of something to 1 part vinegar. So I usually do like 1 part of, so this is 1 tablespoon of water, and I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. So I'm trying to cut that oil out a little bit, as much as I can. Now you can do like 1 part vinegar, 1 part water, and 1 part oil to get even less oil in there. But you still want to kind of have a little bit of that. If you just had vinegar, it'll be just too, strong. But that's why I'm kind of using this tahini paste too, because it'll cut that lemony sharpness. And then I have 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. And if you are, using olive oil for these, try to get a very good cold pressed, high quality olive oil, because you're not going to be going through a whole ton, or you shouldn't be going through a whole ton of olive oil. So getting just a very nice olive oil will last you a while, and honestly, it tastes way better than the cheap stuff anyway. So now we have this little dressing off to the side. And see, that was super simple to make. And then the other thing is, the last thing we're kind of just putting together is this avocado mash, which avocados are so delicious. And so we're just, yeah, they're so
A
good.
lot of fiber. So I'm telling you, everything, all of your ingredients are great for your GI tract. The fiber, also one more thing to mention is that people that eat more fiber have less colon polyps, so less colon cancer. And also patients that eat more fiber, patients with Crohn's or colitis that eat more fiber, they have less flares. That's actually a recent study. So fiber, everyone should eat fiber. Less constipation, less diverticulosis, less irritable bowel syndrome. Fiber can be challenging in the beginning if you are not used to eat it. So you should start slowly incorporating fiber from vegetables, from fruits, from grains, whole grains. We recommend more than 30 grams per day, which is approximately more than 5 to 7 portions of vegetables and fruits. You can eat more than that.
Okay.
But start slowly, because some people can develop bloating with you eat too much fiber, so slowly introduce it to your diet.
That's awesome. I know constipation is not fun. Nobody wants to do that, right?
Yeah.
And I think people think of fiber as, you know, the oatmeal or cereals or things like that. But to your point, a lot of great vegetables and fruits have a lot of fiber, and avocado isn't bulky or scratchy or heavy, but it's, you know, a lovely, delicious thing that you can add to salads and you can add to smoothies, and it's a great way to have fiber. So, you know, that's a good point to remember, that fruits and vegetables is a great way to get fiber. It doesn't have to be those bulky cereals and things that, you know, first come to mind, I think, when we think fiber.
That's true. With the cereals also, that's a good point, because many of the cereals that they sell in the market, they have a lot of sugar. Even though they are not sweet, they have a lot of sugar. So one point with the oatmeal that I always tell my patients, buy the oatmeal that is a long grain, because the other one that is the instant one is also full of sugar and have less fiber. But whole grains are also a good source, as you mentioned. Thank you for bringing that up.
Oh yeah, that is true. I know I was kind of toying with the, you know, adding like a whole grain to this, like a, you know, like a farro or something, which you can definitely add to this dish if you'd like. But I just didn't put it on this dish because, again, I was trying to make it nice and like quick, you know, because sometimes when if we are in the habit of starting new healthy habits, like a recipe that's too daunting, sometimes we'll like, you know, oh, this is too much. Can't be eating healthy like that. So I always
Keep it simple. Yes.
Yeah, keep it simple. And the good thing about this is it makes 4 servings. So if you're not eating all 4 servings at once, you can, this is a great dish to meal prep with, or you take it for lunch, meal prep it for dinner. So that's one of the things I like to do too in the recipes, is if you're not eating it all at once. So I have these, these 2 avocados in here now. They're nice and tender, so we're gonna mash it together. We're just using a little bit of lime juice. It'll help, the lime juice will help keep it turning from brown. And we're just gonna put a pinch of salt and a pinch of pepper in here, just for some seasoning. And then I'm just gonna use my little fork over here to mash it up. And honestly, we can start building the bowls after that. Let me not get this all over the place and make a mess. But then the one of the base ingredients in this is gonna be arugula. And that's another healthy greens, or is good, right?
It's great. Arugula is same family of the brassicas, like the cauliflower and the Brussels, and it's better than romaine. I mean, romaine is great, but it has more water, less vitamins, and the iceberg also, they have less water. This is more nutrient dense, and then the flavor is nice too. I have a little bitterness flavor that is very good. Do you ever do it like cooked? Because sometimes I cook the kale, but I have never cooked arugula, and I'm thinking.
So I have done like recipes, like there was this actually in a cooking class I just did, we made a whole grain, 100% whole grain pasta dish that had like blistered tomatoes. It had a little coconut milk, and it had arugula that I tossed in with it. It was actually pretty delicious. And if you're gonna put it into a cooked dish, add it like right at the very end, so it just wilts and doesn't like get soggy. Yeah, it's a good word. I couldn't think of think of a good word for that. But I'm just over here mashing this with the lime juice as best as I can. This bowl is very peculiar, so it's trying to just like shoot out the side. But while I just mash this, what we're gonna top this with is some toasted pecans.
Oh, nice.
If you don't like pecans, you can use almonds, or I'm sure that.
I love pecans.
Yeah.
And they are great snacks too. Those are also
Yes.
healthy snacks. They have a lot of omega-3, which again is anti-inflammatory. Just you have to be careful when you snack nuts in general, because if you eat a lot, they can have a lot of calories, and if you are watching your weight, it can be a little too much. So you can do like 1/4 cup or 10 per day for snacking. I would say that's a good number.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know. I fell into that trap. I love like this like nut mix thing that I make is like roasted nuts, and I was eating so much
delicious.
like during during coronavirus shutdown, and I was like, oh, gain a little too much weight, all these nuts.
And that's it. I always tell my patients with fatty liver or obese that we want to keep, the calories a little under control. I tell them, do not eat directly from the bag.
Yeah.
Put it in a little container and put the bag away, because otherwise you keep eating them and then you lose control.
That is a very good suggestion, because eating it right from the bag that it comes out of can be dangerous.
Yes.
Especially if you're, like you said, if you're trying to watch your calories, for sure. All right, I'm gonna grab some bowls real quick so we can assemble this, and so you can see kind of what it looks like. And let me grab it real fast.
I can't wait to see it. And I love too that you said really basically you're roasting those vegetables while you're making all the other components, because you cut, if you cut the potatoes small enough and you cut those Brussels sprouts in half, and they're done almost, as soon as you get everything else ready to go. So and I also love the idea to prep it ahead of time, because it's so much easier to eat healthy when you have things in your fridge and in your pantry that you could just grab, because, it's so easy to just run through that drive-through again, you're short on time, whatever. But, taking those few minutes at the beginning of a week to prep some things out, especially when they're easy and beautiful like this, it's a great tip.
For sure, I know. Instead of reaching for that bag of potato chips, you can just reach in your refrigerator and grab this little bowl.
Yeah. Meal prep is the name of the game.
Oh, yeah.
And also, that's one thing that I have many patients that they are drivers, like Uber drivers, and we're trying to, to keep under their control, because they have a lot of many issues related to their obesity and what they eat. And I always tell them, be prepared. Bring in a bag carrots, hummus, yogurt, nuts. Just bring them with you. Even though you don't eat them, at least you have them there. Because when you're driving for 10 hours and you get hungry in the middle of the day, you're going to go to McDonald's, all of these places that are not the best option. So we have to, get ready.
For sure. And the fact that you're in the kitchen preparing this, I mean, not that it's a ton of exercise, but you're up doing stuff. So if you have a sedentary job where you're sitting at either you're driving all day or you're sitting at a desk or something, adding that extra little bit of movement by being in the kitchen, and what's going into your ingredient or the ingredients that are going into your food, I think is just really, really helpful, and you can benefit a lot from that. So I am going to change the camera view just to a little bit closer to this bowl so you can see kind of what I'm putting into it. So it's just a regular bowl. And we're going to put this whole thing together. So these are my roasted Brussels sprouts. I just eyeballed it. So since it's 4 servings, I separated it into 4. And I did the same thing with the sweet potatoes you can see here. So I'm going to put the sweet potatoes in first. And also too, you eat with your eyes. So even if you're making this for yourself at home, just plate it really nice and pretty, because you deserve it. You should treat yourself, right? And you can plate it just as beautiful as any restaurant can at your house. So I have the sweet potato and I have the Brussels sprouts. I'm going to put the arugula in here. And I'm going to put, I'm just going to use this little spoon over here. Going to kind of get a quarter of this golden sauerkraut that we made right here into the bowl. And I'm going to top it with this avocado, this delicious avocado. I'm kind of doing the same thing, just putting it into 4s so we can all distribute it evenly, just like that. We're going to put these pecans just all over the top, sprinkle them. And last but not least, we're going to take this lemon tahini dressing and just kind of drizzle it all over the top, and then you can mix it all together and enjoy it. And that was super simple.
And so beautiful.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
The colors, that's another thing that I always tell my patients, try to eat the colors of the rainbow. The more
Yes.
colorful is your food, the more nutrients they will have.
And it's also too, again, going back to eating with your eyes. If you're eating, the rainbow of all the different colors, it's going to be so much more visually appealing than
Yes.
just eating like white foods,
Absolutely.
like white and tan foods. So much more fun to eat stuff like this. And you're so right as to talking about getting it started early. If you have kids at home, get them involved in the kitchen, cooking. Maybe that'll help them want to try things that they may have not tried before. And so that way they can live a long, healthy life and
Yes.
get some nice fiber in there. I know fiber is very important. And so when you're having like a lot of fiber, is it important to drink a lot of water with that too, or?
Yes, so some patients, when they eat too much fiber and they don't drink enough water, they can actually get constipated.
Yeah.
So it's important to drink a lot of water too. Hydration is major. Our body is full of water. So if we don't give enough water, what happens is that the body senses that you are dehydrated. And then the one who suffers is your colon. Then you develop constipation, hemorrhoids, diverticulosis, all of these issues. So
Yeah.
you should drink a lot of water as well. That's a very good point.
I know, because that's one thing as I've been trying to drink more water too. So I've been adding lemon water, all the waters. So I know that was, I'm making a mess over here now, just throwing things around. But yeah, so that's the recipe. And I'm so glad that you were able to come here today and do this with me and Katie and Edible Orlando and AdventHealth. This has been great. For sure.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun, and that is such a beautiful dish. I can't wait to sneak right next door. I'm glad that I'm only one door away so that I can come and grab a bite because it looks so good. So thank you, Chef, for sharing that beautiful bowl with us, and thank you, Dr. Gomez. I love the whole idea of kind of everything working together. So we've got probiotics, and we've got fiber, and we've got eating the rainbow and drinking lots of water. So it's a great reminder to be mindful about our health. So I thank you for joining us for that. You can find this whole recipe at edibleorlando.com, and you can visit AdventHealth. Let me get it right. AdventHealth, DHIS, for more tips on staying healthy and well during the holiday season, especially. So we hope you've enjoyed our third installment of Healthy Helpings. We have loved this partnership with AdventHealth, and we hope to see you again another time. So thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much. Have a
Bye.
great day.